Hey Ethan, so class tonight, for the general warm-up, we did the PVC warm-up. I included in there, sorry, let me grab a PVC. I included in that a couple extra things that I don't always do at the PVC warm-up, but I had them do standard PVC warm-up, and then I also threw in, so having them bring their hands behind their back with the palms facing forward, then coming forward just to get a nice little forearm stretch. This always looks really funky, and some people might not be able to make it all the way forward, but just to wherever they can. Just gets the forearms and shoulders a little bit differently. And then I also had people doing some overhead squats with the PVC, really emphasizing that we're trying to keep as much of our body stacked underneath of that PVC as we can. So yeah, and then I also just had people doing some wrist rolls, just to get a little bit of motion through the wrist, because there's definitely a few different positions that they're going to be in today. So some wrist rolls, maybe flexion and extension. I don't know the proper term for forward and back with a wrist straight, whatever that is. So yeah, wrist rolls, and then I also had people do some, I call them froggers, but I don't know, I've heard them called different things. Basically, coming from kind of like the gorilla or bear plank of last night's class where the knees are just slightly up, kind of sitting back, loading, and then coming forward, sitting back, loading, coming forward. Some of those just to get some weight into the hands and wrists, and again, to get some motion through the wrists. That was the general warm-up. Specific warm-up, I had them do 30 seconds of work and 15 seconds of like rest transition for 2 rounds through the 4 movements of the workout. Doing that first round pretty easy, just trying to get kind of like a general feel for the movement. Second round, trying to figure out, okay, what is gonna be like a good working weight for me during this workout? The workout, they're gonna do 1 round through the 4 movements, and we want them to try and kind of hammer through those movements, get them done as fast as possible, because they have a nice long 2 minutes of rest, and then they're gonna do that for 5 rounds. So 1 round, 2 minutes of rest. After they do that, take the rest, hit another round fast as they can, another 2 minutes of rest for 5 total rounds. To make sure that everybody's finishing under 30 minutes and probably nobody's finishing before 25 minutes, I told people that that first round should take about 3 minutes and 15 seconds to 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And if that was not the case, if they're finishing much faster than 3:15, then making a couple things a little harder, making like the easiest movements a little harder. Or if they were finishing much past 3:45, making the hardest movements, a little bit easier, to make sure that they're finishing in that time window, because otherwise, as they get tired and they get a little slowed down, the rounds are going to be taking way too long and they're not going to be able to finish all 5 rounds within the 30 minutes. 4 movements. First up, we've got kettlebell step-ups, and I'm going to grab out a kettlebell here. I want them in the front rack position with that kettlebell. So front rack position means thumb is kind of against the collarbone. I'm going to switch sides. Thumb is against the collarbone, and we're tucked in here. If they have a watch on, suggest maybe that they flip it around just so it doesn't get smushed. And then they can have the hand on the wall for balance, and then that outside leg should be up. They're driving through. I'm not picky about what happens to the back leg. If they want to lift it, cool. If they want to keep that down, cool. But then relatively controlled on the way down. Obviously, this is conditioning, so we're trying to get them moving quick. But at the same time, we don't want them just plopping down and bouncing off that back leg. Kind of relatively controlled on that way down, and trying to make that top leg do all the work. 10 on each side of those, so they'll do 10, they'll switch hands, they'll come to the other side of the box, and 10 on the other side. Then 8 kettlebell rope climbs. So I will have the rope set up with the kettlebells on there. I'll also show you how to tie them up just for future reference, but they'll grab a seat, and then making sure that they get all the way up, and then that they walk it down. Depending on how jerky they are on the way up, if they just kind of let it come down, there's more of a chance of it smashing toes or swinging and hitting unfortunate spots or whatever. So yeah, again, making sure we're pulling it all the way up and walking it out on the way down. I'm not picky if they want to do two hands pulling together, or if they want to do kind of hand over hand. I wasn't too picky about that. They've got 8 of those, and then 10 on each side of a dumbbell snatch. So that's taking that dumbbell all the way from the floor, popping it up overhead in one smooth movement, not stopping at the shoulders. 10 each side there, so I wasn't picky if they did 10 on the one, 10 on the other, or if they did 20 alternating, so right, left. Not really picky there. Last thing is 3 by 5 on each way, going each way of a plank kind of lateral walk. So they're finding a good plank position, shoulders over the wrists, pretty straight line from shoulders to heels. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. So I did 5 steps down, 5 steps back. That's 1, and they're doing 3 times of that. Mostly I did that just so they're not taking up the full gym to try and do 15 steps down, 15 steps back. Yeah, so that was the workout kind of as prescribed. Like I said though, we're trying to keep them within between like 315 to 345 per round, at least for the first round, knowing that they're gonna slow down a little bit. So after that first round, everybody should be finishing, like you should be able to see when everybody is finishing and everybody's starting at the same time. So if you have people that are finishing at 3:45 or later, let them finish that first round, but then kind of let them know how to make it easier. How they can do that: going lighter or a lower height for the step ups, going lighter on the kettlebell rope climbs, or if they're already using a pink, maybe they cut it down to 6 kettlebell rope climbs or 5. Going lighter on the snatches. And then the plank steps, number 1, they can just take smaller steps so they're not covering quite as much distance, or they can cut it down so maybe they're doing 3 sets of 4 down and back, or maybe 2 sets of 5 down and back. So yeah, just basically modifying, either making things lighter or cutting down on the reps. Yeah, I think I tried to record what the weights everybody was using, but generally on the step ups, ladies, a couple ladies had to bust out a dumbbell, or one lady had to bust out a dumbbell instead of a kettlebell, but then most ladies either that dumbbell, a pink, or a blue if they're feeling really spicy on the step ups. For guys, maybe a blue, maybe a yellow kettlebell, or either pink, blue, or maybe a yellow kettlebell if they're feeling really spicy. Rope climbs, generally ladies pink or blue, guys blue or yellow. For the snatches, I would say 17.5 to 25. For ladies, 25 or maybe 25 up to 35, maybe 40 for the guys. And then for the plank steps, yeah, that's just a matter of figuring out that, taking a little smaller steps or bigger steps. Yeah, I felt like it went really well. Definitely towards round 4 and 5, like people should be getting pretty smoked, things should be adding up. And in general, we've got some higher reps in here. So like each round should be like, holy crap, thank goodness I'm done with that set of that. It shouldn't feel like, oh cool, I cruised through that, piece of cake. Like these should be kind of getting to a point of like getting pretty tired with each set of everything. But yeah, like I said, went really well. I don't think there's any major adjustments that you need to make. So yeah, have fun.